Guys, good luck.
Alrighty. Go forth and conquer, Skip.
And I'm just checking to make sure that all the
morning,
streams
everyone.
are up and running. It appears that way.
All right,
Great.
all the streams are up. So if you are seeing this and tuning in early, we are just a few minutes before showtime. Tim Lennon is joining us.
Morning.
Skip had to start the stream a little bit early because he needs to duck out. He's going to be man on the street again today, heading over to the Planning Commission meeting. And so we got started a little bit early. The radio show won't start for about another 4 minutes. So if it seems strange, you see a little bit of dead air time or us just chatting and sipping coffee, that's the deal. We're getting ready. So Tim, let's talk about what we want to cover today.
Sure. Well, I'm sure you guys. Well, I'm trying to remember when the last time I was here. I haven't been here since after the election, have I? Or no?
Yeah, no. This is your
No.
first return visit since the elections.
Yeah, that's right. I think maybe right before. So, obviously there's some exciting news, some big things on the horizon, and I think obviously the elephant in the room is we're not done quite yet. The Geauga County Auditor's race is within 4 votes, which is an amazing margin.
Yep.
So we can touch on that. There's some things happening today at Geauga County Commissioners meeting, I think, that may be of interest to the public with some spending issues. So we may be talking about that.
Yeah, we'll bring that up. That's 9:30, right?
9:30. Yeah, I think I'm gonna head over there, and hopefully it's addressed. If it's not, then I'm gonna maybe bring it to the attention of the board if they'll let me speak.
Hey, remember, you have to choose your 3 minutes wisely.
I know.
Or you might draw the ire and wrath of Carolyn Brakey.
I'd have to, should I prepare something, or do I, I feel like to be concise with my 3 minutes. I don't want to waste it.
You don't want to waste it. Yeah, use it wisely.
Yeah.
I loved when there was somebody who was trying to speak a few weeks ago, and she chimed in and sort of cut off Dvorak and was like, well, wait a minute. No, if memory serves, there were some rule changes and you only get to speak once. And now all of us who are paying attention and are sane and reasonable are like, the rule changes are there because you made them.
That's right. It's so silly. Like she wants to, I'm all for policies, right? The policies are great. But, policies are, there to be, it's not like you have to abide by your policy because you drafted up the policy, right? Like and what's the difference? I would have never cut somebody off like that, put it that way, in real life or in a meeting. This is not, we're not
power trip.
Yeah, or the president of the United States, and even this current president of the United States, he'd let you talk. He'd let you ask your question, right? Like, Who do you think you are? Like, you're going to bring down this hammer of this is not a courtroom or, it's just a public meeting in a local, small little county, where residents come in and they want a question answered or, do your best to answer the question. I've never even seen them attempt to answer a question even. It's frustrating. Like when I was there was really no policy other than we're getting paid to do this. And if I got to sit here till 5 o'clock in the afternoon to answer everybody's, then that's what we're here to do. Like
right.
you're only meeting once a week, Carolyn. It's not that big a deal.
It should be a pretty easy, straightforward concept. It's your representative government. They're hired to work as a representative. And you're serving a fiduciary duty, serving solely the interests of we the people.
Yeah,
and
I've said it. She's not good at this. It's just common sense. It's a personality thing. It's just how would you talk and respect somebody that came up to you on the street and asked you a question? Would you say, "I'm sorry, I only have go ahead, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I'm walking and talking. Go."
Right.
What is that?
You have 30 seconds of my time. Go.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
That's not the way real life works,
No,
especially in elected office.
exactly.
All right,
So,
just double checking things here. It looks
yep,
like we are good. Looks like we're up and running on Rumble and Facebook.
great. So you're steering the ship here today.
I am steering the ship. I'm going to launch us. I'll launch us into conversation.
I always want to do the show inside, but I have to come out to my shop to do it because this is like high traffic, high energy in the morning at my house. You know, we got dogs and kids and TVs and stereos going, so this is about the quietest place I can find.
30 seconds.
Oh, good. We're starting to get messages. Tells me that we are live and up and running on Rumble.
Ten seconds. 10 seconds.
Good morning, Geauga, Lake, Northeast Ohio, and the rest of the world. You've got Jonathan Broadbent here launching us on Voice of Geauga because Skip Claypool is once again man on the street. Skip is heading out to a planning commission meeting, followed by a county commissioners meeting. And we're going to talk about that today with returning guest, former county commissioner Tim Lennon.
Good
Tim,
morning,
welcome back to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. This is becoming a somewhat of a occurrence here, so I really enjoy it. Thanks for having me.
We love having you on. You're a great
Yeah.
guest and have great insights and perspective into all things Geauga, having served as a county commissioner. And speaking of which, we have a lot to catch up on. You've not
Sure.
been back on the show since the elections.
Yeah, yeah. There's been a lot of exciting news, obviously, in Geauga County. And I don't know, Lake. Did they have any big upsets? I didn't get the results in Lake yet. I know we always kind of focus on Geauga, but and there's listeners in Lake, but yeah, there's some exciting news and still, you know, a big one that's up for. We're still counting in the Geauga County Auditors race. Joe DeBoth, what a unbelievable result that he had. Is leading our current auditor, Chuck Walter, by 4 votes. So
Yeah.
I guess
Unofficially.
unofficially, they still got to count. But I think the moral of the story for everybody that voted, and I appreciate it, everyone vote, is your vote does count. You know, if you're one of those 4 votes, it's extremely important, and going forward in the provisionals. So they'll be tallying up that result. I'm super excited to see a new direction in the Geauga County Auditor's Office. It's sorely needed, not just from the standpoint of the auditor himself, but making some changes. And even I've been saying it. It's no secret. I've been a critic of this auditor and his what he's been doing, and a couple of the directors there in ADP. And we've had lots of consternation with them and just huge amounts of spending. And I would ask for a forensic audit immediately. Stop the presses. Let's get a full accounting of what's going on in that office, because I think there's been some real indiscrepancies. Let's just put it that way over the years that I would like to have a closer, finer look at. So I'm happy. Anyway, getting off subject.
No. I think
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Actually, you're hitting on a really good subject. And
Yeah.
I'm going to interject. I've mentioned this before, and people that know me know this about me. I like puzzles. I'm a puzzle guy. I build things, and I love it. And the more complex, the better. I find things intriguing that have a lot of nuance and complexity to them. And the auditor's office, and underneath the auditor's office, something that we refer to as ADP. And it's easiest to think of ADP as kind of like the IT department of the county of Geauga. ADP and their relationship and the interactions between the auditor's office, ADP, and the commissioner's office, and then what we, the people, are able to see of their finances are very complex and they're very intriguing. The number of people, what they do, how they report, and this friction that seems to exist between the auditor's office and the commissioners. Well, interestingly, another puzzle piece fell into place recently, or well, it showed up on the table, I should say. Another piece showed up on the table a few weeks ago as we were looking into that dark money group that pumped in all the propaganda into
Oh,
Geauga County. That group, Ohioans for Responsible Government. I'm air quoting that because they're wildly irresponsible. Well, we found out that among the people who are funding that
mm,
is a man by the name of Frank Antonucci. And Frank Antonucci heads the ADP department.
an
And
employee.
so I don't know the exact date, but it seems like right around the time when people like us and Voice of Geauga and others started to ask questions about their payroll, how much money, it's unbelievable sums of money, vast amounts of money go through payroll and then overtime and the number of employees. Right around that same time, we had Frank Antonucci sending money into Lake County to fund Ohioans for Responsible Government.
Mm.
So isn't that intriguing, Tim?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did know bits and pieces of that puzzle that you speak of, and it's again no secret just how political directors under these elected officials have gotten in Geauga County, which to I mean is wrong on so many levels, other than just ethical reasons.
Right.
But employees using their position and our county resources to help promote their boss, who inevitably keeps their job in place and gets them their big fat cat salaries and gets them $115,000 salaries, when in the real world they may be nowhere near that, and are just simply not qualified to even have the positions, but they're using county resources to help promote themselves from within, and that is just wrong, and we've seen it um, in a number of cases here as of late, where county employees on county time are using their positions to promote themselves and their bosses. And so we have really got to take a closer look with a fine tooth comb and see just exactly what money is being spent for what. There was just recently, I don't know if, and I know Jonathan, you're aware of this, and it's just kind of coming through the out the other end here in the county financials. But the auditor's office just had a financial request from the county commissioners to reimburse one of their employees, one of their top lieutenants in the auditor's office, $1,000 of candy. They bought candy for the Geauga County Maple Festival in Chardon, which is a parade. It's a local parade that many elected officials, as they're getting ready for primary season, like to march up and down the city streets of Chardon and throw out candy to the residents that come to watch, and they partake in the parade. Well, the auditor's office, of course, had their own float and their own, they were in the parade and they were walking the streets as a group with their employees and with supporters of this current auditor who's running in a contested primary race, throwing what essentially tantamount comes to me is our money. You might as well just go to the ATM and take out $1,000, $1 bills, and throw them on the streets of Chardon. That's what they were doing with our money. But it was candy. They were taking candy and throwing it out and using our tax dollars. Well, they made a request to the county commissioners to reimburse this employee, and the county commissioners didn't even ask a question last week in financials. They just went right ahead and reimbursed this employee for $1,000 worth of candy that should have come out of the pockets, really. If for example, when I was a county commissioner, if I was requested to be part of the parade or anything like that, I always came. I just gave them $100 bill or a couple $100, and we bought the candy. The county commissioners, you're the one that's benefiting from it, not going and using county tax dollars to help promote yourself. So here, once again, and I know it seems like a small thing, $1,000, But really, $1,000 is not a small thing, But to me, I'm just blown away that they don't even. First of all, the commissioners didn't even. It didn't even blink. They didn't even blink. It just went right through financials like it was the most important thing. Like we're buying tires for the sheriff's department squad cars or something. Like it's a necessary expense. But they didn't even ask a question. But then on the next agenda item, for example, Carolyn Brakey, she's over there nitpicking away, stepping over $1 to pick up a nickel in the case of, whether it be for training for, the county employees to go to Chardon to learn how to do their jobs better. But she's being ultra critical on that and trying to saving. So, Jonathan,
so it sounds like it's possible that there may be a little bit of showboating going on there.
Totally.
Tim, I'm not at all surprised. We've got a group of people that did very much the same thing a couple of months ago on a $400,000 office renovation, and it was clear to me because I was one of the people that questioned that. Why in the world are we spending $400,000 of tax revenue on the backs of hardworking Americans for a $400,000 office renovation? And I was looked at and responded to like, what? Why would we possibly pause the speed of our meeting to consider such a small sum? Let's rubber stamp it as quickly as possible. That was so frustrating being in that meeting. So in that context, if we've got $400,000 office renovations, it's like a conveyor belt of rubber stamping. Sure. I can imagine $1,000 worth of candy to somebody who's campaigning.
I don't want to cast any dispersions quite yet until I'm going to, hopefully they have a very good reason for this, hopefully there's a very good reason for this. But it appears to me that that's what this thing was, what they were doing is using the candy in a parade where they're all promoting, they're marching as judge. There's the judge candidate, there's the auditor's candidate, there's the commissioner's candidate, and they're all marching together as a group, and they're using our county tax dollars. It seems to be, and I hopefully there's a good explanation today or someday that they can explain this to us.
We're coming up on a break, but it certainly does appear that's it formed itself into quite a little clique in Geauga County. There's a group of people that have entered into politics, and you can make the argument they seem to have lost sight of the interests of we the people, and they seem to have formed a very solid clique. We're going to come back with more with Tim Lennon on the other side of the break.
Mics are off. Spot being played for Skip. Spot being played for Skip.
Thank you. Excellent.
So
Skip, if you're listening, if you can hear this, your spot, I assume that we're talking about that red eft spot, and that's terrific. Glad to know that that's going out. The people listening on the radio show or streaming the audio will be able to hear the red eft commercial. It sounded pretty good. Skip was actually played it through his microphone from his phone at one point. It's a good sounding commercial.
Oh, good.
So, when we come back on top of that, I will make sure to point out and reference our sponsors. So, let's see. Gardens of CH, citizens have no input to spending. We only react after the rubber stamp spending.
True.
We do not even understand what they are talking about.
True.
That's a good point.
Exactly. It's a good point.
Yep.
I mean, today, for example, I hopefully there's some explanation, but today they're getting ready to spend $3.5 million. I don't know if you saw the agenda for today. $3.5 million.
On what?
They're buying the building next door, the library building. The county commissioners are purchasing from another county agency their building. Now, obviously, there's been
30 seconds. 30.
Obviously, there's been some discussion, I would think, leading up to this major decision to spend $3.5 million, right? Like,
where was that discussion?
Where was that discussion? In executive session, I would imagine. Now, That's
10
privy.
seconds, 10 seconds.
Welcome back to Voice of Geauga with me, Jonathan Broadbent, serving as host this morning, and returning guest Tim Lennon.
Good morning.
Skip Claypool is out. He's man on the street. He may join us with some audio. He's actually traveling right now to a county planning commission meeting. So Tim and I are discussing some things. I was hoping to use this sort of ridiculous $1,000 candy fiasco to spur people to action. I was hoping maybe go out over the air and encourage people to go to the county administration building on Ravenwood at 9:30 this morning and tune in. You don't have to go to say anything unless you want to, but just showing up. Tuning in and showing up sends the right message that we, the people, are tuned in and paying attention to what they're doing. It puts daylight on them. But during the break, the stakes just got much higher. The ante went up significantly. In addition to the odd $1,000 candy thing, apparently we've got a $3.5 million spend that's being considered as well. Or maybe it's not being considered, and maybe it's just prepared to be rubber stamped. Well, Tim, tell us more about that and how it appears that there wasn't even discussion.
Well, I can't say there hasn't been discussion, but I have not heard it publicly, any discussion. It seems as though there's an agenda item on today's upcoming Geauga County Commissioners meeting at 9:30 at the County Administrative Building, which I was hopefully, if I have enough time, I'm going to try and attend that because I'm very curious as to what this is about. But they're getting ready to approve a $3.5 or $3.2 million cross purchase from another government agency. So there's the county public library, and they have their administrative headquarters, which has been for years up at Ravenwood, at the center of the county, as right next to the new administrative buildings. I have heard and I've been loosely paying attention to financials, and obviously I'm not in detail anymore, so hopefully there's a good explanation. But I have heard no public discussion as to the reason or the direction or the necessity to go buy another property. Why do we need more property? Are we expanding? Do we need more room? I mean, maybe there's a logical reason. I'm open to that.
There's a great comment on Rumble. There's something wrong with government agencies buying buildings off of each other.
Yeah.
So it just seems like each time there's more taxpayer dollars spent, and then
that's a good
more
point.
Taxpayer dollars spent, and then respent on the same building over and over again.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if we switch the lens from the what appears to be this perspective, how much can we get away with, and how quickly can we spend money, to let's be frugal about spending taxpayer dollars, that would change the dynamic significantly, and we'd stop buying and rebuying and repurchasing and rubber stamping as much as we do.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I agree. I mean, listen, I know nothing's free, and even within government, there's responsible to it, within their own silos. But it does raise the question. It seems like you're taking money from your right pocket and putting it in your left pocket. Does it? It's all tax dollars, right? And being commingled like that, it's certainly the perception is not good. So. But I guess my point of the whole thing is, there's been no fanfare, no public interaction, no press release, no, hey, public, we're getting ready. We feel that necessary, and we've got this within our budget, no questions asked. $3.5 million. We found that in the couch cushions. We don't need to come ask you for that kind of money. But we're going to go ahead and buy this, as we're doing, 100 other things in the county. But I just it kind of irritates me that we don't know more about the reasoning. So hopefully today there is a very good, thorough, logical reason as to why they're getting ready to spend this kind of money. I have what I believe is their reason for doing it, and maybe again, if you can defend it, that's great. but it's a heck of a lot of money going for another property. One juicy footprint, consolidating rooftops, getting rid of all this duplication. But it seems like here we go again, boom, boom, like dandelions. It's spring, and we just start adding rooftops. Yeah, and so it's frustrating. It really is.
It's very frustrating. A few things to interject.
Go ahead.
You're not off with your reference to taking money out of one pocket and putting it in the other, but let's be fair about and honest about what happens in this sort of in scenario. There's a lot of cost involved in a title transfer of that size. So it's not like taking $3.5 million of taxpayer dollars out of one pocket and putting it into another. There are going to be all sorts of real estate fees and taxes and transaction fees, etc. We don't know at this point. I don't know. And I don't spend enough time in commercial real estate to even speculate, but that's a significant amount of taxpayer dollars that will evaporate overnight by moving this building from one government agency to another. What often happens in places that are trying to be frugal and manage money well is, let's imagine that the existing agency doesn't need the building anymore. You know what they could do is lease it to another government agency for $1 a year or something, just to have something that is on paper showing that you have authorized use of property. If that's what the commissioners are after, the commissioner's office. But why in the world would the commissioner's office be
exactly
in real estate ownership and management? That it seems outside.
Well, that's the thing. They shouldn't be, government. Yeah, government should not be in the business of collecting real estate holdings. That is not the purpose, or especially county government. That we're not, that money should be out in the private sector, generating, like you said, tax dollars on the tax map. That should not be held, and I think the public would be shocked by the land holdings, even of Geauga County, just how much land they do own. It's between, whether it be park district land all the way across, even just, some of the vacant lands. And as a new commissioner, when I first came in, I was almost floored at the portfolio. I said, this is ridiculous. And a lot of it is just going unused even. There's vacant pieces of property, hundreds of acres that should be cut loose and back to the public,
put them back into private ownership. I want to put something out for public perspective, and this goes back to the series of Voice of Geauga discussions we had around the county budget. I want to ask you, my listening audience, to imagine for a moment. I'm just going to use some easy to understand round numbers. Imagine that you're making $50,000 a year, and you're smart about that money, and you're only spending $40,000 a year. If you do that for a long period of time, you can stockpile some cash. You're being financially responsible. You've got a little safety net. Life is good. Now imagine that suddenly things change and you're double. You're making $100,000 a year. But suddenly you start spending $115,000 a year. That's not going to last long. That's a major issue that I saw in the 2026 budget. And a reason that a lot of us went into the commissioner's office and started challenging some of the things that are being spent on. That's where we are right now. We have huge additional money coming into Geauga County, and we have some people in our county who seem to want to spend like drunken sailors, who are spending more than the revenue that's coming in.
We don't have Jonathan. We don't have a well, they do have there's a few that have a spending problem. We have a revenue collection problem. We collect too much money. We've got more money in Geauga County. It's coming out our ears and everywhere else. It's
which explains why a lot of people in Geauga County are struggling, including
the nature of the beast, I guess. Yeah. Well,
Tim, you're breaking up a little bit. I think we have a sort of a choppy connection.
Has been guessed the people of.
I apologize to our listening audience. Tim, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if maybe you could take a look at the
Okay.
connection settings you've got. If there's anything you could do to boost that connection, that'd be great. We were
Okay.
starting to lose you a little
Okay.
bit there. So stay tuned here, folks.
Still
Tim is
there?
yes. Let's try a different spot.
Okay.
This
Okay.
this looks better.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, good, good. So good. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, we were just talking about some of the spending on these buildings, and I know we're going into a break here soon, but um, I guess my whole thing is there's no clear direction as to why we're doing what we're doing. I would like to see uh, the county commissioners, for example, leading up to this big decision, there should have been some interaction with the public, just saying, "Hey, here's what. Get ready, public. Here's what here's a big need that we have, and we're getting ready to address it." But it seems like they've been behind closed doors in executive session making this deal, and this is like, again, whoever said it, we're seeing the water that's already gone under the bridge. This money is already approved and in place and getting ready to be spent, and they've already made that decision. And we didn't get to see the sausage being made or even hear as to why. Why are we doing this? So we're going to see that here today. Hopefully, there's a good explanation as to why. I think I have an idea what they're doing.
Yep, that's
But we'll
9:30
wait to
today.
hear.
Remember, you can go. We're coming up on a break. Go at 9:30 this morning if you're able to the county administration building. Head into the commissioners meeting, which takes place on the third floor. There's stairs and elevators. Go tune in and let's reconvene and talk about this after it happens. We're going to come back with more conversation with Tim Lennon on the other side of the break.
Mics are off. Mics are off.
Yeah, so there are some good comments here on Rumble. I do not want a
Thomas sounds
senior
real
center
sharp.
to go hang out. I want to keep my home and get a heating system.
Oh, that's okay. It's the senior center. That's what they're thinking of doing.
Oh, is that what it is?
It must be. They're gonna gut that. But like you said, 3.5. Like, why do we gotta spend that kind of money on? I mean, I get you got like nothing's free, but the public library now, they're leaving this perfectly good building. Perfectly good building. They're going. Geauga County Library is getting ready to build a $15 million headquarters, new administrative headquarters, $15 million, which will end up costing them 20 by the time they're done, or 17 or 18. There's gonna be cost overruns and so on and so on. So,
Right.
but why? Why? And it's because money is flying out of their rear ends. The public keeps approving these levies for the library. They don't hold them to account. They said, "Here, we're going to shovel you some more money." Oh, it's you're choking on it. Okay, we're going to shove it up your rear now. You know what I mean? It's like it's just we keep giving them the money, and that's the problem. And they're not there to be frugal in the spending. They're there to administer how fast they can get this money turned back around and back out spent, and whether they just being creative in the way they dream it up. So it's a problem. It's a problem. I mean, everyone says it's a good problem, but it's not. I mean, we need to be talking about reducing collection. We collect.
Reducing collection and creating more private enterprise. There's a great comment here. I can think of much better use for that location. It's a terrific location, and if we end up with Chardon Square just full of a bunch of government buildings, it spells doom for local businesses.
Yep, being subsidized. They're being subsidized.
They're being subsidized. You make Chardon Square a welcoming place for people to just go and hang out and mill around, and that's great. But if you make it all a bunch of the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and the no offense to people who work in
I'm gonna go get a divorce, and then I may go antique shopping on the square. That's just not. Nobody's doing that. They're going in and paying their fine, and then they're peeling out of there and saying, "I never want to come back again." You know what I mean? Like, Seriously, I mean, except for the people that actually live local, within proximity. I mean, why would you go? What's there? I mean, there's a couple restaurants that come and go, but other than that, I mean, that should be a thriving, booming on Friday afternoon, coming to life. But
Yeah.
instead, at 4:30 or even earlier now, with these county employees ditching out at probably even earlier than that on Fridays, it's going to sleep. I mean, you drive around there on a Friday or Saturday. There's parking. It's like there's nothing going on unless there's a special event or something going on. But it's
Right.
not. It's not because it's a moth to flame with commerce. No, it's because it's subsidized by county government. And I've always you could have
watched the recent divorcees and the people battling in courts and stuff come and go angry.
You could have all kinds of fantastic
10
things.
seconds. 10 seconds.
Welcome back to Voice of Geauga with me, your host, Jonathan Broadbent. Skip Claypool is out man on the street, or actually didn't end up being man on the street. He's traveling this morning into the Planning Commission meeting. Joining us again, we have former County Commissioner Tim Lennon. I want to pause to recognize our sponsors. We've got the Chardon and Middlefield VFW, that's Veterans of Foreign Wars. Head into one of those two locations and buy a veteran a beer. Sit and eat a burger and chat with a veteran. They are open to the public and a great opportunity to go and thank a veteran. We also have American Legion of both Chardon and Newberry and Red Eft. Call Red Eft. I normally am a big advocate of encouraging people to find us on social media. That's Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube. However, beginning today, there is, if you happen to listen to the radio broadcast, there is a new Red Eft commercial, which is pretty exciting.
Oh,
Call
good.
Red Eft at 440-850-4968. And if you want, you can go to wintradio.com, listen to a replay, and there you'll actually hear the commercials that play. Here, during the commercial breaks, you get discussion from Tim and me, which brings me back to one of the things that we were talking about during the break, and it was a great comment on Rumble, and that's the use of this land. And I think Tim and I are absolutely on the same page. Places like Chardon Square could be a place for people to mill and, antique shopping and restaurants and coffee shops and bookshops and all those kinds of things. But now we seem to have this intrusion of these government buildings, and it's a very different purpose. You want to repeat some of the things you were saying during the break, Tim?
And Jonathan, no, not to say there aren't things in Chardon Square that are great, but I do.
There's some beautiful shops.
But I think at the same time it's being propped up, and that there could be more. Is what we've always tried to argue. Is saying get the county government out of the way, and it should.
Well, it looks like Tim is frozen again. So one of the things that's unfortunate, Tim's in a spot where he's got maybe some intermittent connectivity issues. But now I can see that he's headed somewhere better, and hopefully we can resolve that.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know if there must be an issue with the Wi-Fi or something this morning. But this is kind of old news. This county government in the square. Unfortunately, the new courthouse has been hugely invested to up there. 20-some or over $25 million, or I don't even know what it is. It's absurd the amount of money. It was supposed to be $15 million investment. They went way overboard there. But yeah, the argument has always been it's the chicken and the egg. But county government shouldn't be subsidizing, the center of town. In my opinion, it should be private business and private industry and commerce and real estate going on there. But the county has some very old buildings that they are investing in up there. And when I was there, we actually spent money to have those graded just to see exactly what we're dealing with. the annex, which houses the juvenile court, the prosecutor's office, recorder, the auditor, and the opera house, and all that up there, it all came back a resounding F, which I already knew. I mean, to be honest with you, a good strong wind eventually is going to push that building over unless they do something with it. That's how bad. I mean, that building was built back in the 1800s. It was never,
Wow.
never. It was never designed for county for front facing in today's day and age with security and some of the needs and different things. It was never designed for public interface, but they're just keep shoving money and redesigning unfunctional space. And I listen, I like old buildings, I think they're great, but I like buildings that work, like I like buildings that are functioning. And so that was always my argument. I think it's a giant waste of money, but
I don't think, sorry, Tim, but I got to interject
yeah.
there. I don't think that it fits.
Mm-hmm.
You have two very different types of people who are going to Chardon Square. If you've got people that are headed there for a nice, relaxing, shopping, meal sort of environment, versus people who are going in for juvenile court, pay their fines or penalties, or they're getting a divorce or something. As you said earlier, just paraphrasing something you said, those are the kinds of people that go in, they do the minimum amount, they're frustrated, they peel out and look back and say, I just never want to go there again.
Exactly.
Versus that building you're talking about, my mind goes to what would happen to that building if it were turned over for private use. And you get some...
they could redesign it. There could be apartments up above. There could be, dual purpose. There could be shops down below, whether it be, retail or office space for, whether it be lawyers that are going in and out for the new courthouse over there. There could be space for that. I mean, there's a million different things. That let the public decide, because they're the ones that would ultimately be the ones using it, right? But again, I've always said on a Friday afternoon, all those employees are getting out of there, and it's a ghost town, and it should be coming to life on a Friday night. And it's like Chagrin Falls. Obviously, Chardon doesn't have a falls, but they need to figure out what their light is to bring those moths to the flame. And I've always said, on a weekend, that place should be hopping and bopping. There should be all kinds of good restaurants and shopping and living residential. But and I was always of the opinion to move everything off of the square that could be possibly moved, and get it out to the center of the county where we're conducting business, and where the public is conducting business.
Yeah, if nothing else, not only do you have commonality of purpose, so people that are going to renew their tags and stickers on their car, or file for divorce, or whatever, they're doing administrative sorts of things, all go to one campus, freeing up places like Chardon Square for private use and enjoyment and recreation.
Yeah.
And also, it seems strange to me, looked at from a security standpoint, it's much easier to secure one area, one campus, than have...
Oh, totally. The redundancies and the duplication and the amount of duplication, like you said, just even in security amount, how much they spend, in that. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, and sorry, I'm moving again here.
Okay.
We've got the kids are getting ready to go to school here this morning, so I got to get it out of their way.
I understood. Well,
but
for purposes of our audience and Voice of Geauga, we love kids and whatever sort of family noises we hear. Don't worry at all.
But this is something that we have been going back and forth with the city of Chardon, and unfortunately, they see the glass half empty, and we saw it half full. And it was kind of a back and forth. They didn't agree with, and I wasn't the mayor of Chardon at the time, so I couldn't make those decisions for them. But and we needed some partnership with them, and there were some legal reasons that the county needed to stay in the county seat. They don't have to stay on the square, of course. But I guess, to get back to our original conversation, the amount of money that goes into property collections in these that the county owns right now and is not utilizing. For example, 470 still in Chardon, where the old I used to call it the trailer park, where we used to have our county commissioners meetings, and where the old board of elections was, and so on. So it used to house a lot of county government. We still haven't sold that. Why? We're out of there. That place should have bulldozers going in there, or it should have been sold long ago and being developed, going back and being repurposed and new. It's the entryway into Chardon, and Chardon has never once, I don't think, approached the county and any type of planning or anything else for that property. And again, it's like one of the first properties as you enter in from the north to come into Geauga County. So,
Yep.
I don't know what it just there's no rhyme or reason, and that it just frustrates me that they're getting ready to buy another building. And I get it. Maybe there's a real good reason as to why, and it sounds like it's for the Department of Aging and housing all of their employees, which could be a very well good purpose. I don't know, but or I'm not exactly sure. I haven't been part of those, privy to those things.
Tim,
But-
it's always it's refreshing to see lively and courteous debate. There's a debate taking place on Rumble right now. We have a comment. I do not want a senior center to go hang out. I want to keep my home and get a heating system. But there's a counter to that. Somebody else says, I disagree. With the large senior population, a senior center is essential. So
we have lots of senior centers in Geauga. There's more than one. we've got lots of them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a good point as well.
Yeah.
And then other people are getting into whether or not that should be public or private. But what I envision, and one of the dreams of Voice of Geauga, is more people like those engaged in this conversation going to things like the 9:30 commissioners meeting this morning and getting involved and expressing your interests and your will. That ultimately is what should be driving the decisions that are made. We've had a lot of years of people like whoever was serving as mayor of Chardon when the decisions were made about the library and the courthouse and all those kinds of things. And all too often we have a silent, uninformed, or sometimes misinformed public.
Yep.
We're coming up on a break. We're going to pause right there. Again, I want to encourage people to find us on Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. Don't forget to click that like button and click the bell to get notified when we begin programs like this. We want to thank Tim Lennon. We're going to come back with our final segment and more from Tim Lennon on the other side of the break.
Mics are off. Mics are off.
So one of the things I want to bring up is this, the final vote count. I think it's the 22nd.
Yes.
People can go in and observe.
I was thinking the same thing. How important this is, I can't even tell you. Like, this is so big, and I can't even. I'm like pinching myself. I can't believe. I mean, not Joe. I know worked very hard, but to go in and be ahead of this incumbent who has been just so flat out, if you want my opinion, just arrogant. He's just been arrogant. And just thought, that all he had to do was, recycle some old yard signs and maybe throw a mailer or two out, but let his work do the speaking, which it did. And I'm so happy the public finally woke up to this auditor, Chuck Walter, and all of the issues, fights, debates, legal wranglings, millions of wasted dollars in court. They stood up and said, we want somebody else. Thank God. Thank God. Now, hopefully that we can push this over. There's enough votes. I think you said there was like 90 or 96, Jonathan. Is that right?
Well, I think what we found out last night is that I think there are 96 total.
Okay.
Total. It's not the absentee ballots.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Provisional. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The provisional ballots, but only a portion of those are Republican. And I've heard the number like 67-ish or something. So they're not all Republican.
Sure.
So only the Republican ballots will affect that race. I don't know the exact number.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Welcome back to our final segment with returning guest Tim Lennon, former county commissioner. Skip Claypool is out today. He traveled into the county administration building to participate in a planning commission meeting, and then I believe he plans to go to the county commissioners meeting. Tim is saying he plans to go there as well. There's an important date that I'd like to make everybody aware of, and this is going to be critical to Geauga County, and that is the 22nd. We'll confirm that date. I plan on grabbing more information and posting it on Voice of Geauga on social media. On the 22nd, there will be a counting of the provisional ballots. And here's what that looks like. Right now, in the auditor's race, the unofficial result of the race between Joe DeBoth and Chuck Walder, the incumbent, is 4 votes in favor of Joe DeBoth.
Wow.
Right. That's
amazing.
Yeah, it's very, very close. And so if you're out there and you're one of those people that says, oh, yeah, my vote doesn't count, look at that.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It does. 4 votes. So on the 22nd, the provisional ballots will be opened up and considered. If they are deemed valid, they will be counted. We don't know at this point how many of them. I don't know. There's something like 90, high 90s, 97-ish total provisional ballots. Not all of them are Republican. Only the Republican ballots have that race on it between Joe DeBoth and Chuck Walder.
And so the Board of Elections is meeting when, Jonathan? Is it the 22nd?
22nd, I believe. I'm going to confirm that and post it. I'm pretty positive we have that from show notes a few days ago.
And so there's 4 individuals. There's 2 Republican Board of Elections members, and then there's 2 Democrat election, correct? And those 4 will sit down at a table and mull over these provisional ballots as to see for what. There's a myriad of reasons why maybe some have issues, whether it's like the date is wrong or the signature doesn't add up or the polling location was wrong. So there's a bunch of different reasons why, right?
Right. Those are all reasons why some of those ballots end up in that status. So they're sort of hanging loose outside of the ballots that have been counted. So whatever that number is, and I've heard numbers thrown around like mid-60s, 65, 67-ish Republican provisional ballots. Those will be tallied up and then added to the existing tally that has temporarily now Joe DeBoth in favor in this election by 4 votes.
And then I heard, Jonathan, ought to add to that, to jump on top of that, they said if it does, it needs to be, I think it's like 36 votes in favor of one way or the other, or it kicks in an automatic recount again.
Correct. So that seems pretty likely to happen as well. It's so close that we can't say this for sure, but it's likely that there is going to be an audit of that because it's such a close race to make sure that they got it right. But part of my reason for bringing it up is not just to inform people, but it's to let you know that's an opportunity for you to participate in local government. It is open to the public. There will be 2 types of people. Skip said a few days ago that he has submitted an application to be an official. I think the term they use for it is an observer. So he'll be there somewhat officially. And I think that means he may be able to ask questions, move around in the room, etc. But
Jonathan, I have some real questions as to this process because I'm not familiar with it, but it makes me really nervous, and I want to be an observer as well to some extent. I just am curious, because it makes you, now we're entering in the human component of, is this ballot good or not? So now you're bringing in people's opinions, right? And you have a Democrat, you have a Republican, and are they going to be able to work together to decide if that is a good vote or not? Or is their bias going to become part of the equation and say, well, I favor this candidate over that candidate? And then does it bring in, say local interpretation of the law from our prosecutor, who we all know has been very political as well. So I have a lot of questions. I have got a lot of questions as to how this process goes, and I just hope that the checks and balances are in place, that people that have those biases cannot put their thumb on this thing one way or another. I just hope that, I've always trusted in the system, that this is a fair system. So we're going to get to see how the sausage is made. It sounds like, Jonathan.
Yeah, absolutely. On the 22nd. So I hope a lot of people show up. There's going to be some space for people to be seated and simply watch. So, observers, just to set the stage appropriately, it is my understanding, and it would make sense. Observers, I believe, will not be permitted to ask questions, talk, or engage, but they can sit quietly and watch this activity take place. So, more eyes, the better. That it puts daylight on it. There is huge pressure, I already know right now, on making sure that everything is buttoned up, that nothing is tinkered with, nobody puts their thumb on the scale. And I'm with you, Tim. We're all, those of us who pay attention to local politics are plainly, clearly aware of a
Yes.
close relationship between current county prosecutor Jim Flays and current auditor Chuck Walder.
Absolutely.
Chuck Walder, if there's a question that arises in the legal realm, I will be among those asking for Jim Flays to recuse himself.
Yeah.
And for somebody else with a legal
Agreed.
background to chime in, perhaps even from outside of Geauga County, rendering legal opinion if it's needed. Just
Yeah,
to
it's been no secret that those two have been one and the same and tied at the hip for years now, and supporting each other, whether it be publicly or even financially, probably back and forth with their elections, back and forth, helping each other, and they've been very concise in that they argue together. So yeah, another question I have, Jonathan, and I don't know if you have the answer or who has the answer. I'm sure somebody does, but where are those ballots right now? Like, are they under lock and key at the Board of Elections? Hopefully and who has the key? Who's got the key? Who's holding the key? That's another concern. I was in a contentious battle with this current auditor about who has access and to certain facilities in the county, and it's always been the county commissioners by law, Ohio Rights Code, are the ones that oversee the security of the buildings in Geauga County. But with today's day and age, with all the technology and everything else, is this a type of key that's like key card exit, or is it a hard key, or those type of questions are floating around in my mind. So I hopefully there's good answers for that kind of stuff.
Those are great questions to ask the Board of Elections, and they may have actually answered. I know that enough people are asking. They may have released a public statement. But just speaking back to the bit of time that I spent helping at a local election facility, it seems the ongoing general nature of everything that happens with the County Board of Elections is always in pairs. You have two people doing everything. It seems to always be one Democrat and one Republican, and they do it together. And I have to assume that whatever is happening around these ballots is probably following that same protocol.
Good.
Or who knows, maybe they doubled it up and you need to have two Republicans and two Democrats or something. But our trust and faith is in the professionalism of the County Board of Elections. I've seen no reason to question that.
Yeah, they do a good job. Everything I've ever witnessed, I've always thought they've done a great job from what I witnessed. So,
yeah. So we are coming up on the conclusion of the show. Remember a couple of things. We've got the 9:30 meeting this morning. If you have time and opportunity, go in and just tune in. You don't have to get engaged there and ask questions, but just listen. Also, on the 22nd, we're going to see if we can confirm that date and find a time and location and confirm that would be in the County Board of Elections office. But just go and observe that. We want to thank returning guest Tim Lennon. Thank you. In spite of a little bit of glitchiness with the connection.
That's my bad, I think. Yep.
You were fine. You were a great guest. Thanks again for coming back on Voice of Geauga.
Oh, I love it. We'll do it again.
Everyone have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Mics are off. Mics are off.
All right. Good show. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks,
Appreciate
thanks.
you
Yeah,
hopping on.
I talked to Skip real quick. About I know.
So just so you're aware,
Yeah.
this is, I believe, still
Okay.
broadcasting.
Okay.
On the
Yeah.
Rumble and Facebook.
Right. But
YouTube.
so the helping get more sponsors, and there's a donation button, which I think is a great idea. So
Yep.
hopefully, any listeners out there that love this, I surely do. I listen every day, and the paper and all the other avenues to listen to this show are so important. So if people like this, if you want to donate, there's a way to do that now. And
Crowdsourcing. Love it.
Yep. And I would love to see some new sponsors. I mean, gosh, what a great bargain, to get your company name out there to the masses in Geauga and in Lake County for a really nominal amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Between the podcast, the radio broadcast on WINT, and the paper, there is ample opportunity. And I got the sense when we first launched that people were just waiting to see. We've clearly shown that Voice of Geauga has traction. It's got legs, and it's garnered a tremendous amount of attention and interest.
It really, I mean, Jonathan, I think it's proven itself, and it really changed the game. In my opinion, it changed the game, and you can see those that decided to get involved early. Those candidates that said, "Hey, I see the value in getting involved in this," and then the ones that didn't.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Everybody had the opportunity to get involved. There was no,
playing favorites.
No. I mean, we had our, I have my opinions, but everyone had the right to advertise just like anybody else, and they decided not to.
Yep. Yeah, proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again.
All right. Good
Thomas,
to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Thomas. Yep. Take care. Oh, birthday. Okay. Happy